Srivatsangam Mahoraskam Vanamala Virajidam Shankachakradharam Devam Krishnam Vande Jagagurum. I bow to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, who carries the shank and the chakra in his hands and is adorned with a garland of wild flowers. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Atitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. That's it. Let us be protected. Let us be nourished. Let our studies be done with enthusiasm. And let those studies take us to the very highest. And let us not have any cause to fight with each other. Peace to the whole world. Peace in this society. And peace, let there be peace in my own mind. Hari Om. That's it. Very happy to see all of you here today. And as you know, we will be taking the... we are continuing with the Udhhava Geeta, of course. So... sorry. Just a minute. So we are continuing this. This is the seventh chapter, or really the seventh, not chapter, seventh talk on the Udhhava Geeta. And we know last time what we... you don't have to request about coming into this. Anyone can come. Okay? So the last class was about the extraordinary siddhis which we get. The 8 ashramas siddhis it's called, which we get by doing all these sadhanas. And he says, actually the fact is that eventually that bliss which you enjoy will be much higher than anything you can get by taking drugs or alcohol or something unnatural. So that is eventually that's what he says. Then he goes to after that the question is he goes to this particular chapter after the question by Udhhava. Udhhava asks him, now what about how can bhakti, because last chapter he was talking about bhakti, the greatest, how bhakti can take you to the very highest. So Udhhava asks him, please tell me, the Hindus follow the varnashrama system. So how can bhakti be generated by following the varnashrama system, he's saying, by following Aswadharma. So even, Udhhava says, even in ancient times, you are the only one who used to be able to tell the greatness of this dharma. So I pray that you will tell it to me, because, and remember, Udhhava never asked these questions for himself. He was already a liberated soul, but he asks this for people who are yet to come. So tell me how by following Aswadharma this bhakti to you will be increased. Now Krishna says, Oh Udhhava, your question will be very useful to all those who try to follow the varnashrama dharma. So now let us first of all understand, because this is a very, very debatable topic. And most people don't understand the meaning of what is varnashrama dharma, which is such an important base in the Sanatana Dharma social system from the Vedic age. Actually, this is the most perfect method of not only our individual life, but of social life. It assured that there was a beautiful running of the society, as well at the same time an evolution of every individual. This is a very important thing, because the individual has to evolve also along with the society, and they are very bound with each other. The society will not made up of the individual, and it will not evolve unless the individuals themselves are evolved. So the final goal, now remember, we all know the final goal as recognized in Hinduism is union with the Supreme. Liberation or mukti, moksha, which is union with that Supreme. It is now, already he has pointed out, it's only in the human body and mind, mental system, that this can be attained. Even though the thousands, millions and millions of creatures and things are there in the world. The fact is, the ability to attain that liberation can only be attained in the human body. Hence, the rishis gave us a varnashrama system by which both the society and the individual progressed and evolved at the same time. Now, the greatness of any society or country can only be judged by the nature of its citizens. Look at our thing now. Even though we have a very good government, the fact is that so many things, so many adharmic things are being done by the citizens and by the leftists and so on, that naturally is being pulled down. The society is not as perfect as it should be. So that is why in the early days, the rishis devised the varnashrama divisions by which both society and individuals evolved in the same time. This was a brilliant idea, but it unfortunately declined very rapidly after the Vedic age. Now, the horizontal way of evolution, which pertained to the society, was known as the Varna system. And the vertical growth of the people in that society was known as the ashrama system. People were divided into Varna so that everyone had a position and a duty in life. They knew exactly how to carry on in life. They were not totally, not knowing, most of the children do not knowing what job they should take, what is this thing they should pursue. All these things are not there because it was very perfectly, it was a cut and dried system actually. And when they followed that, they could automatically evolve. Now, in order to see that they did evolve, they had the ashramas through which the person had to go through and which also evolved the individual. It was a very important necessity for every individual in the society to evolve if we want a stable society. Since the individuals will make up the society. If the individuals do not follow dharma, naturally the whole society will also become adharmic. Now, before we go into this, let me make it clear that the word caste does not exist in Sanskrit. It is a Portuguese word called casta, which was taken up by the British and used in order to rule the Indians. They wanted to divide the Hindu systems because they realized that we had a very beautiful and perfect system. So the only way that they could, in fact, it is said that Macaulay, he was the one who came here to give a overall picture of the Hindu society. He went back to the parliament and he's supposed to have said that these people have a very beautiful system and we will never ever be able to break them. We will never be able to control them or rule them unless and until we make them break their system and break them into little bits and divide and rule them and make them convinced that that our 2,000-year-old civilization is far superior to their 30,000-year-old civilization. This is exactly the words he used in the British Parliament. And they put him in charge of education. And as you know, they totally took away our essential education and brought in the British system, which has made us what we are now. So the word caste is never there. Today, unfortunately, the opposition is using the same tactic to divide the Hindus on the basis of caste. We all Hindus must oppose this. Hindus should unite and declare that we want a classless, casteless society. That is what we've been aiming for, because that which is so good in the Vedic age is not good now. We can recognize. And Hinduism has always changed with the time. Never insisted that only this is this thing. Understand? Don't ask questions, please listen first. It is all going to be cleared up first. And any questions we can answer next tomorrow. Now, we have to declare that we want a classless and casteless society. There should never be a mention of the word caste in the Indian society of the future. Understand? This is all of us have to realize that. Now, we have to help the government to do this. We can't simply criticize and say, what was it before? Before it was very good. And I will tell you how it was very good. Let us go back to the ancient Varna and ashramas divisions. Let us try and understand this, because at the time of its origin, it was really a wonderful system by which both the society and the individual benefited and both evolved together. The horizontal method, let us take the horizontal method of the Varnas. These were known as the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. In Vedic times, these delegations were made according to the personality traits and not just due to birth. That is why Krishna later says, you have your swadharma will be dependent on your swabhava. He says this very clearly. Your swadharma will depend on your swabhava. To make a Brahmin-like person to go and fight in a war is not possible. So your swadharma will depend on your swabhava. And your swabhava is what made you a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. This is an important point all Hindus should understand. That why did they do this? So in Vedic times, these, as I said, the delegations were made according to the personality, not just due to birth. Krishna says this very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita. So now these traits I will describe later. Now I know you're all dying to ask some questions. Let us see how far these divisions are necessary in any society. I will tell you something. These four divisions are essential to any society, even today. Every society needs an intellectual class who will be teachers, educationers, intellectuals, scientists, who will set the norms by which the society should be run. This is very important in any society, isn't it? That class will be there. That was the class of the Brahmins. Every society needs a set of rulers and fighters who will rule and protect the country. This was the Kshatriya, Jadi. And this was this thing, Varna. Varna of the Kshatriyas was, because even today, every society needs a set of rulers and a set of fighters who will rule and protect the country. Now, thirdly, every society needs an economic class who will see to the material needs of the society. Yes or no? This is very important. And this was by the Vaishya class. So every society also needs a working class who will help in all types of physical labor. This is the Shudra class. These are the four broad lines in which you will find any society you look. You will find these four types are always there. They have to be there for the good running of any society. But this is true today as it is in ancient times. Unfortunately, in Bharat, we made classes of these types. The Brahmins, as I said, were the teachers and the intellectuals and the scientists. The Kshatriyas were the rulers and the defenders. The Vaishyas were the economic class. And the Shudras were the working class. Carpenters, masons, hand labor, plumbers, electricians, all these come under Shudras. These classes exist even today in every society. This must be understood by every Hindu here. This is why this class has existed, because now it so happened that people in the society automatically knew what they were supposed to do, because their nature was also pertaining to that. As I said, a Kshatriya cannot be expected to go and sit and meditate for a long time and read all these Vedas and teach people. So everybody had those jobs, which is extremely beneficial to them because their swabhava was like that. Their swabhava, that means they automatically had a tendency or leaning to that type of work that they're doing. Understand? So these classes exist even today. But as I said, in ancient Bharat, they became very rigid. And the son of Brahmin became a Brahmin, regardless of his nature and so on. That's what we see today. Today, where the Brahmins are the ones who eat beef and pork and this and that. So the Brahmin class is totally degenerated. So they do not want, they started mixing and they did not keep to their traditions. This has led to the unfortunate caste system that exists today and has long lost its value. We must all understand that. We must all, Hindus should try to provide a casteless society, which is a bit difficult because classes is very difficult. However, we must all try to the best of our ability. Now, everyone, as far as possible, should be judged only on their merit and not on anything else. This is being recognized by everyone. But those who want to break Bharat has started hopping once again on the caste system and is trying to bring it back. We should all try to stop this. We do not want a caste. We want a classless, casteless society. This all Hindus should stand up for. Understand? This is very, very bad of them. They had trying to do exactly what the British did, and trying to break the Hindus and fragment us in order to, for their own nefarious purposes. So this is something that all Hindus should try to defend. As I said, this is a horizontal system of evolution. Originally, it was a horizontal system of evolution which led to a very stable society, provided everyone did the job that they were best suited for. This is an important part. Everybody used to do a job which they liked. The Brahmin loved doing the puja and reading this thing and meditation and teaching. The Kshatriyas loved to fight, loved to rule and so on and so forth. And the shudras loved to do the hand labor. They liked to do the hand labor and what they were suited for. And the Vaishyas loved to do economically, went into economic thing. So these are all because of the swabhava, which they had. Understand? That is why it came about. So the rishis realized. But there was one thing the rishis realized, that along with the social setup was a very unique and wonderful setup, by which everybody did, as I said, everybody did what he was best suited for. He went to the job which he was best suited for. So we have, you cannot say it's a shortcoming of Hinduism. Hinduism always evolved with the times, and now it's time to evolve and get rid of the caste system. This is correct. It is not a shortcoming. It was please listen to what I'm saying. It was one of the best systems at the time when it existed in its pristine quality. You understand? Very good systems were. And because now, and again, the rishis realized that there has to be evolution of the individual also at the same time. Not that you are all set, becoming a Brahmin, you just only that. They realize individually, internally, not through the class and the society, but internally, each individual has a responsibility to evolve. And that is where the ashramas came in. Varna, we have decided Varna, and that is where the ashramas came in. Now, Brahmacharyashrama, the first is these ashramas are the 4 stages in the life of a human being. The 4 stages in the life of a human being. That is, supposing maybe, according to this thing, when you can say a human being has 100 years, can live up to 100 years. Nowadays, even more they're living. So, the first 25 years, was a Brahmacharyashrama pertaining to the life of the student. That for the first 25 years. Grihastashrama, householder's life for the next 25 years. That is from 25 to 50. That was the Grihastashrama. Vanaprastha, when the person released his responsibilities to his children and retired to an ashram so as to concentrate on more spiritual practices. This was from, please don't ask. Thank you, Sudha. It distracts me. Please, we have time at the end of this class, even at the end of the class. I know this is a very, very kind of a very provoking class. So if we go through this, I will try and answer your questions in this very class, if possible. Okay? Thank you, Sudha, for your this thing. Now, the Vanaprastha is when the person releases his responsibilities to his children and retires to an ashrama or forest so that he can concentrate more on spiritual practices. Because if we live in the household, whatever we might do our own practices, still we are always inclined to meddle in the children's this thing and try to tell them what they have to do. So this is very, very difficult to practice all these things. So understand. So next, that is from 50 to 75 years is the Vanaprastha. Next, the last stage of life, Sannyasa, when he gives up everything and concentrates on liberation alone. Okay? Rules were given pertaining to both Varnas and ashramas so as to enable both the society and the individual to evolve in a graceful manner, thus creating an ideal society, which indeed they created. You cannot say that we were wrong and it was a wrong thing to do. Never. It was never like that. We did create an ideal society. Remember that society are made up of the individuals. So the game of every government is to produce ideal citizens through the educational system. And this was exactly the master plan of the rishis. This was obviously an excellent pattern to follow, because remember, look back at the history of Bharat before the onslaughts of the Turks, the Afghans, the Europeans, Portuguese and the British and so on. We find that we had the very best culture of the whole world. Look back at your own history. We are not taught that, but try to, now it's coming up. Please do look back at that and find out that we had the best culture and society of the whole world. All the best of human knowledge had been produced here. And we had conquered the whole of Southeast Asia, not through our arms and might, but through our conduct and our ideology, which was so inclusive that there was a place in it for every type of personality. You please remember this. In its pristine nature, this varnashrama system was a foolproof scheme for a wonderful society, as well as a wonderful set of individuals who would grow and flower, their own personalities would flower, and they would work in society according to their swabhava, according to their needs. And this is what the society was. As I said, until the violence and the onslaughts of these people started, this society was perfect. And that's why we ruled over whole of Southeast Asia. That which was really speaking, that Southeast Asia, the Europeans and the America was not even heard of. Europe was there, but they were all running around in a very bad state. Understand? Not that you could not call them civilized even. So the civilized world of that age, we were the one who controlled that, and not through warfare, not through our arms and might, but through love and the amazing ideology that we had for this thing. And also you must remember that all scientific knowledge of the 20th century had already been found out by the Indians long before that, long. I'm writing a new book on the rishis, and we are coming to the modern rishis also, the scientists also, and you will find that almost every single thing that I have only started knowing about now in the 20th century, 18th to 20th century, we had already found out long ago. Our mathematicians, astrologers, astronomers, and geographers, the navy, our navy, everything was superlatively good. And this was the state, and this was produced by the varnashrama system. Definitely, the varnashrama system had a great thing it was a great support for the whole society. It supported, because everybody, as I said, knew exactly what they wanted, exactly what they wanted to say, and how they should do, what they should do in society, and they had no problems. They had no sort of fear that I may not be correct in this. They were not. If they were a little bit less in that, by their education, and they didn't have to go running around looking for a job, because automatically now the doctor, for instance, Ayurveda Vaid, for instance, his son will automatically learn from him, from the father, which is the best method of learning. So every child they didn't have that stress and that feeling of, I'm hopeless, of course some of them will be hopeless, but then that was taken care of in some other way. But the fact is that it was a very conjointed society, very well, beautifully jointed. Because as I said, all these things, we need an intellectual and teaching class. We need a ruling and ruling as well as fighting class. We need a economic class, and we need a class for serving. The service-minded people. As I said, all these other things come into that class, which is, as I said, we cannot live in a society without a plumber, an electrician, a dyer, or a cloth weaver in those days, a weaver, or so many things like that, farmer. So they all comes into that class, because they were really the basis of the whole society. Even though the Brahmins were at the top, the basis was the shudra because they kept up all the needs of the society was provided by them and the economic class. It was a very, very important thing to do that. So as I said, with the advent of foreign invasions, all these were distorted, and the British forced a caste system on us, which had not existed in Vedic system. As I said, the word caste itself is not found in our language. We had only the jadi and the ashramas. The varnashrama was what we had. And this word caste was brought from the Portuguese word casta, which is not a word found in Sanskrit. So here Krishna will explain to Uddhava the type of conduct and rules pertaining to all these as they existed in the time they were made. Naturally, he's not going to tell Uddhava what it was now, because the whole thing has gone totally awry now. And we don't need it also. We can chuck it all off. Sure. Because, as I said, Hinduism always had no problem in chucking off what was not necessary. Everything was, if it was taken up, it was taken up only for that period of time. It is not something eternal. Nothing is eternal, really speaking, except the Brahman itself. So, Krishna is explaining to Uddhava the type of conduct and rules pertaining to all these as they existed in that Vedic time. Okay, not only up to the time when before the conquerors came, the foreigners came. Until then, it was running in a very beautiful and wonderful manner. Now, Krishna begins by saying, in the Krita Yuga or Satya Yuga, which is the first Yuga, which we have, time in our thing is cyclical. We have huge periods of time called yugas. And the first yuga is Krita Yuga, Satya Yuga. Then there is next you find the Treta Yuga. Next you find the Dwapara Yuga. And finally now we are in the Kali Yuga. These are the 4 yugas. So he says, in the Krita Yuga, Satya Yuga, there's only one Varna. They didn't have 4 Varnas. There was only one Varna, and it was called Hamsa. That Yuga is known as Krita also, because everyone was fulfilled and contented. Krita means totally content and totally fulfilled. In that age, there was no Veda. Veda was only the Pranava. What is the Pranava? Om. And it said that Bhagavan manifested himself as Dharma as Dharma, having all 4 parts intact. That is to say, in a pictorial form, Dharma is pictured as a bull, a huge, wonderful-looking bull with all 4 legs intact. That was in the Krita Yuga. And during the next few yugas, it is said in the Bhagavad Purana explained, one by one leg of that bull of the Dharma bull was left, was not there. In this yuga, he is only on Kali Yuga, he is standing on 1 foot, and even that is sure to be gone soon. Each succeeding yuga, one of the legs of the bull of Dharma was broken. And worshippers were also pure, and they did not have to do anything. They did meditation. That is in the Krita Yuga, in Satya Yuga. They did meditation. They didn't have to do anything more. There was no need for anything more, because they were already so contented, so happy, and so blissful, that why should they do anything more? They meditated just because they wanted to enjoy the bliss, more bliss of that infinite, which was everywhere. Everyone recognized that. In the Treta Yuga, the Veda emerged from my heart, he says, Krishna said, my heart as prana, the medium. That is, prana is that breath of life. Yesterday, some child asked me a question, what is life? So I said, what are you taking in now and bringing out? Of all the things that is necessary for us, prana is the most necessary. You can go without food, you can go without water, you can go without many things, but you cannot go without breathing. And that is pranic force that you're breathing in and bringing out. And when you're dead, that prana leaves you and you're considered dead. The body is nothing. Without the prana, the body is nothing. So, Treta Yuga, the Veda emerged from my heart with prana as the medium. I was a Yajna Purusha with 3 divisions represented by the 3 priests. All these Yajnas have 3 priests. That is, they are known as a Hota, Advaryu and Udgata. These are the 3 priests which are necessary in every type of yajna or yaga. Now the Purusha Sukta of the Rig Veda actually describes the whole universe as proceeding from the Veda Purusha or the Virat Purusha, which was a form of the divine which encompassed everything in creation. Om Sahasrashesha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat. That is the beginning of the Purusha Sukta. Now it's a very important thing. Why did Krishna say that the Virat Purusha is shown in this? Why is that shown as a human body? Because to show that anything, that the whole of Virat, the whole of the universe, the whole of the cosmos is encompassed in that Purusha. There's nothing else. In that Virat Purusha is found everything in the whole cosmos. Now, why is it shown as a human body? I'll tell you why. It is to show that the Virat Purusha will know anything that happens anywhere in his own body, naturally. That means anywhere in the whole universe, in the whole cosmos. For instance, if I have a pain in my little toe, I don't need to have someone to tell me this. I don't have to tell someone to tell you, I think that you have a little pain in your little toe. No, I know it immediately. Similarly, the Virat Purusha, in whom the whole of creation is already enfolded in that Virat Purusha, he knows immediately anything that happens anywhere in this universe, in this cosmos. Okay? Already there. So he's immediately aware of every tiny thing. That's why once he says, Krishna says, remember that not a leaf can fall from a tree without my knowledge. Imagine that. Not a leaf can fall from a tree without my knowing it. That is why the body is given. Because for me also, if a little nail gets broken here, I know immediately. Similarly, the Virat Purusha knows everything. Not a leaf can fall without his knowledge. Instantly, we are instantly aware of anything that takes place anywhere in our body. Similar. So also the Virat Purusha was immediately know anything that takes place anywhere in this universe. Okay? So then he says that these four Varnas were born from me in the body of the Virat Purusha. The Varnas are inherent in that Virat Purusha. So he says, but the Brahmanas are born from the face of the Virat Purusha. From the hands are born the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas from the thighs, and the Shudras from the feet. All of them have specific duties laid down for them. You cannot say that, of course we can say the head is more important because we think with our mind. But actually speaking, can the person even walk without feet? Can it do anything without the hands? So everything, the whole part of the body is very important for the perfect running of that system. So it is not that, why are we only Shudras delegated to the feet? It is not a thing like that. It is just like that. Because of the type of nature we have, these things, we are born into that particular Varna. That is how they say. So the ashramas also come from the body of the Virat Purusha. Ashramas also. The Brahmacharis come from the heart. The Grihastashrama come from the hip. The Vanaprastha from the chest. And Sannyasis from the head. This is how the varnashrama was seen. If you want to picturize it in the form of the Virat Purusha, this is how you picturize it. The nature of the ashramas and the varnas, let me say again let me say, was determined by the place on the Virat Purusha. Those born from higher parts of the body were endowed with nobler natures, and those from lower parts had lower natures. Naturally, this is so because however much we try to say, the whole body is exactly the same. Of course, everything in the body is very necessary for that body. But even though the most important part naturally is the head, isn't it? Once you cut off the head, then the rest of the body can't work. So that is why he says that because where the designation on the body of the Virat Purusha was they had the higher they were, the natures were nobler, he says. Not that they were automatically some great soul. Because their natures were nobler, they were noted as Brahmanas. If they have low natures, they're thrown out of that system. Bhrashta, that's what they call yoga bhrashta. The Brahmins who went against their order and this thing, they were thrown out. And they were called bhrashtas. They were not taken back. Not because of anything else, but their nature changed into a wicked type of nature. So, now he gives the respective natures of the Varnas. And this should really be an eye-opener for all of you who are judging this. The nature of the different Varnas are very, very clearly demarked. Who is a Brahmin? The Brahmins are characterized with great control over the mind, control over the senses, internal and external purity, contentment, forbearance, integrity, compassion, truth, and devotion to the Lord. This, if you have it, it doesn't matter if you're born in the shudra, or you're born in the Kshatriya, or you're born in the Vaishya, or you're born in an outcast even. Remember, if you have all this, you are a Brahmin. So don't think that the Brahmins were much was expected of them, and because much was that's why they were given respect. Because they had, even now, will you not respect a person with control of the mind, control of the senses, contentment, forbearance? Will you not admire a person like that? But of course, we are living in the Kali age. Even some of us, we cannot even admire a person like that who gives up everything for the sake of his country. We cannot admire. Unfortunately, the age we are living is a real cruel age, very cruel age, which cannot see the goodness in anyone. All they want is money, more money, and power. That's all they need. So this is the character. Who is the Brahmin? Gita also says, Gita never says that the Brahmin is someone who is born of a Brahmin. No! The Brahmin is characterized over the control of the mind, control of the senses, control of internal, external purity, contentment, forbearance, integrity, compassion, truth, and devotion to God. It's very, very important. If a person in the lower Varna has this, he should be considered a Brahmin. This is what he says. If someone who has all these qualifications, then he should be considered a Brahmin, even though he may be born in a lower Varna. That is the greatness of this thing. So they were not characterized by this division was only to the natures of the person, the swabhava of the person, and which decided his swadharma. Okay? Now what about the Kshatriyas? Kshatriyas are characterized by strength, self-control, courage, endurance, generosity, enterprise, firmness, reverence for holy people, and ability to command. Ability to command. Very important. You put someone with a shudra disposition as a army general of the army. What will be? The whole army will collapse because they don't have these. So anyone who has such qualities can be considered as a Kshatriya. He's fit to rule. He's fit to go to the army. He's fit to support and keep away the enemies and see that the country remains in good condition. So again, let me tell you, Kshatriyas are characterized by strength, self-control, courage, endurance, generosity, enterprise, firmness, reverence for holy people, and ability to command. These are the qualifications of a Kshatriya. Every society needs such people. Every society needs people like the Brahmins. Every society needs people like the Kshatriyas. Now let us see what the Vaishyas. The Vaishyas are characterized by faith in God and the Veda, love of charity, absence of arrogance, service of holy people, and they have an insatiable desire to acquire wealth. Apart from the other four, most people now, we are living in the Vaishya age, I always say. Because whether you are a Brahmin, born a Brahmin or a Kshatriya, everyone today has an insatiable desire to acquire wealth. By good means or bad means. Doesn't matter. They just want to acquire. So that they get all these scams. For what do they need all this money? What can they take? How much does a human being need in life to have a good and happy life? But they don't want. They have an insatiable desire to acquire wealth. So we live in the Vaishya age now. We lived in a Brahmin age at one time, Kshatriya age another time. Brahmin age, even when a Brahmin wearing an ordinary little cloth or something has nothing on him, when he went to the court of a king, even the king would rise up to worship him. Because at that age, people who had great power, control over themselves, they worship. Then after that we came to the Kshatriya age, where we started worshipping those who could conquer us. That's why we have worshipped the British after they left. Even after they left, we are worshipping them. We are copying them. So next came the Kshatriya age. Now we are living in the Vaishya age.